Now, before we start coding the passenger lookup form, we need to bound the data or bind the data from the list of the passengers to the grid view. Remember, the grid view is supposed to simply return or display all the passengers from the passengers list. So what we need to do is to bind that list with the grid view. So we can go to the arrow over here and choose the data source. So I'm going to choose Add Project Data Source, and we are adding an object. So I'll click the object and click Next. Now, if you don't see anything here, then you have to build the project first. So I'm gonna cancel off. So basically just follow what I do. Click Build, build the solution, everything is okay. Then you will have access to the data source. So again, we click the little arrow on the grid view, Add Project Data Source, Object, and you will have access to the Airline Reservations. And you can see that we have the properties and everything here as well. I'm simply going to check the Airline Reservations and I will have access to all of it. And click Finish. So now when we click on it again, on the little arrow, and choose or open down the data source, we have the other data sources available to us. And when you open the drop down, we have the passenger right here, and that's what we want. We want the passenger name, the seed row and seed column to be displayed in our grid view. So now every time we bring the passengers list into this form, it will be displayed the name, the row and column for each of the passenger object in the list. Alright, so now we can start coding, and the lookups form will simply display either all passengers or selected passengers based on a search from the user. So first, like we did with the passenger class, let's create an outline of properties and methods that we will need. Since the form will return the result of a search, we can create a list of all passengers that are found based on a search from the main form. And because the form will be used to delete passenger as well as just view all passengers, we need to have a way of distinguishing between the two. So we can create variable for mode that will be delete or view. So I'm gonna double click this and start creating those comments. So first, like we said, we need to create a passenger object and list of all passengers that are found. Then we need to create the variable for the mode, which will be, like I said, delete or view. And similarly, we also need to know if the user cancelled the delete operation, because if that's the case, we simply want to return back to the main form and do not perform any deletion. So we can create a variable for that. Of course, we will need a constructor, and we just need one constructor, but we need to pass the view mode into it, so we know whether the form will be used to view the passengers or deleting the passengers. So we have the constructor here, but we'll have to edit it to add the view mode to it. And we will also need events for the cancel button and also for the click inside of the data grid view. Remember, when the user searches for the passenger to delete, the name or names, because there could be multiple passengers with the same name, all these names are displayed in the data grid view, and when the user clicks on the name, we will display the delete dialog box. So let's create the events by clicking on the buttons. So I'll go back to the form, and first I'll click on the cancel button. That will create the cancel event. So this one will be simply used to cancel the operation and do nothing other than close the form. And when we click on the name in the data grid view, so I'll click on that. So when the user clicks the name in the view, on the data grid view, then we bound it with the passenger object. And we only do this if we are deleting the passenger. If we are viewing the passengers, then there will be no clicking on the passenger. Nothing will happen if we click on the name. And there's one more event that we need, and that is to load the form. And when the form loads, we want to display the passengers sorted by the seed row and column. We want to make sure that they are not sorted by the name, because we want to display each passenger based on what seed they have. So I'll go back to the form and double click on the form itself to create the passenger lookups load for event. and when this event is triggered, then we will sort the passengers by seat row number and column letter. Alright, so we are ready to code. Let's do it.